The ceramic mug slipped from Mark's trembling fingers, coffee spreading across the worn café table like spilled memories. Across the room, through the mid-morning crowd, stood the woman who had taught him what love felt like 20 years ago, before life had crushed those dreams into dust. Sarah Mitchell. But she wasn't the girl in paint-stained overalls he remembered. She wore a tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than his monthly rent, and everyone in the cafe seemed to recognize her, whispering and stealing glances at their phones. Mark's 7-year-old daughter, Emma, tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, you're shaking. Are you okay?" He wasn't okay. He hadn't been okay since his wife died 18 months ago, leaving him drowning in medical bills, working 3 jobs, and struggling to keep their tiny apartment while raising Emma alone. Today was supposed to be special. Emma's birthday breakfast at this cafe, the one treat he could barely afford. Now, seeing Sarah felt like the universe mocking him, showing him the life he could have had if he hadn't walked away all those years ago. "I'm fine, sweetheart," he lied, forcing a smile as he grabbed napkins to mop up the spilled coffee. Sarah had been his everything in college. They'd spent endless nights dreaming together, she about opening an art gallery, he about becoming an architect. They'd sketched futures on napkins and made promises under starlight. But when his mother got sick during their senior year, Mark had made a choice. He'd left school, left Sarah, left everything to care for his mom. He'd written Sarah one letter explaining why he couldn't drag her into his collapsing world, then deliberately cut all contact. It had destroyed him, but he'd believed it was the kindest thing he could do. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Mark's heart stopped. Sarah stood beside their table, her expression uncertain, eyes the same warm brown he'd once memorized. Up close, he could see the subtle changes, fine lines around her eyes, a confidence in her posture that hadn't been there before. But her smile, tentative and hopeful, was achingly familiar. "Sarah," he whispered. "Mark." Her voice cracked. "I thought that was you." Wow, it's been forever." Emma watched them with curious eyes. "Do you know my daddy?" Sarah's gaze dropped to Emma, and something tender crossed her face. "I did, once upon a time. I'm Sarah." "I'm Emma. It's my birthday today. I'm 7. Happy birthday, Emma." Sarah pulled out a chair, and Mark didn't have the strength to protest. 7 is a wonderful age. They sat in awkward silence until Sarah spoke again. "You look good, Mark. Really good." It was a generous lie. Mark knew what he looked like. Exhausted, worn down, a man barely holding himself together. "You too," he managed. "I mean, you look amazing. I've seen you in the news. TechVision Solutions, right? That's your company." Sarah nodded, seeming almost embarrassed. "Yeah, we develop accessibility software for people with disabilities. Started in my apartment 8 years ago. Now we're in 12 countries. She paused. "It's not what I planned back in school, but life takes you places you don't expect." Mark felt the weight of everything he'd lost pressing on his chest. While Sarah had built an empire, he'd been scraping by, fighting to survive. "That's incredible, Sarah. I'm proud of you. You always wanted to change the world. What about you? Did you finish your architecture degree?" The question felt like a knife. "No, life happened. I had to drop out." Emma, sensing her father's distress with the intuition children have, piped up. "Daddy works really hard. He has 3 jobs, and he still makes me breakfast every morning and reads to me every night, even when he's really tired." Mark felt his face flush. "Emma, it's true," Emma insisted. "And he makes the best paper airplanes, and he sings silly songs when I'm sad about mommy." Sarah's eyes widened slightly, then filled with something Mark couldn't quite read. "Mommy, my wife, Jennifer, passed away last year," Mark said quietly. "Cancer." "Oh, Mark." Sarah's hand moved toward his across the table but stopped short. "I'm so sorry." The waitress arrived then, a blessed interruption. Mark ordered pancakes for Emma and coffee for himself. Just coffee, because his wallet couldn't handle more. Sarah ordered the same, plus hot chocolate for Emma. "No, Sarah, you don't have to," Mark started. "It's her birthday," Sarah said firmly. "Please." As Emma chattered excitedly about school and her best friend and the stray cat they sometimes fed outside their building, Mark watched Sarah. She listened with genuine interest, asking questions, laughing at Emma's jokes. She was good with his daughter, natural in a way that made his heart ache. When Emma excused herself to look at the pastries in the display case, Sarah leaned forward. "Mark, why didn't you answer my letters? After you left school, I wrote you dozens of times. I called. I even drove to your mom's house, but you'd moved." The old pain resurfaced. "I couldn't drag you down with me, Sarah. My mom was dying. I had no money, no degree, no future. You had dreams, real dreams. I wasn't going to be the anchor that drowned them." "That wasn't your choice to make alone," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. "We were supposed to be partners. I would have stayed. I would have helped." "That's exactly why I left," Mark said. "You would have sacrificed everything for me, and I couldn't live with that. I couldn't be the reason you didn't become who you were meant to be." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "You know what changed my life," she finally said. "What made me start TechVision?" Mark shook his head. "My brother had a car accident 5 years ago. Traumatic brain injury. He lost his ability to speak clearly, to use computers the way he needed for work. I watched him struggle with technology that wasn't designed for people like him. I remembered you, Mark. I remembered how you always saw buildings not just as structures but as spaces that should work for everyone. You taught me to think about accessibility, about designing for real human needs. Everything I've built started with that lesson from you." Mark felt tears threatening. "Sarah, I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad," she continued. "I'm telling you because you didn't fail, Mark. You made hard choices to take care of the people you loved. There's nothing more admirable than that." She glanced at Emma, who was pressing her nose against the pastry-cased glass. "She's lucky to have you." "I'm not sure about that," Mark said bitterly. "I can barely keep us afloat. This breakfast is probably going to mean I skip lunch for the next week. She deserves better than a father who can't." "Stop." Sarah's voice was firm. "Don't do that. Don't measure your worth by your bank account. Emma doesn't see a failure when she looks at you. She sees someone who shows up for her every single day. That's everything." When Emma returned with the pancakes, Sarah insisted on ordering extra pastries for later. Then, as they ate, she asked about Mark's jobs, his struggles, his life. He found himself talking, really talking, for the first time in months. About the loneliness of single parenthood, the crushing weight of debt, the fear that he was failing Emma despite trying so hard. Sarah listened with the intensity he remembered, asking thoughtful questions, never judging. When Emma excused herself to the restroom, Sarah pulled out her phone. "I want to help," she said. "No." Mark's response was immediate. "Sarah, I didn't tell you all this too. I know you didn't, but I'm offering anyway." She showed him her screen, a job listing. "TechVision needs a facilities manager for our new headquarters. Someone to oversee the building design, ensure it's accessible and functional. I thought immediately of you. The salary is $120,000 a year, full benefits, including health insurance that covers pre-existing conditions if Emma ever needs it." Mark stared at the screen, his heart hammering. That kind of money would change everything. No more juggling 3 jobs, no more choosing between groceries and Emma's school supplies, no more terror of unexpected expenses. "I can't," he whispered. "I can't take charity from you." "It's not charity," Sarah said firmly. "It's a job. You'd have to interview with our HR department like anyone else. But Mark, you have the skills. You understand space, design, human needs. You just never got the chance to use them. I'm offering you that chance." "Why?" Mark's voice broke. "After I hurt you, after I disappeared, why would you do this?" Sarah's eyes glistened. "Because 20 years ago, you taught me what it means to love someone enough to let them go. It was the wrong choice, and it broke both our hearts, but your heart was in the right place. You were trying to protect me." She reached across the table and finally took his hand. "Let me return the favor. Let me protect you and Emma now. Not because you need saving, but because you deserve a chance to breathe." Emma returned then, sliding back into her seat and looking between them curiously. "Are you going to be Daddy's friend again?" she asked Sarah. Sarah smiled, tears streaming down her face now. "If he'll let me, yes. I'd like that very much." Mark looked at his daughter, his brave, brilliant daughter who deserved every opportunity in the world. He thought about pride and shame and all the walls he'd built around himself since Jennifer died. Then he thought about Sarah's words, "You deserve a chance to breathe." Maybe he did. Maybe Emma did too. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay." 3 months later, Mark sat in his new office at TechVision headquarters, reviewing accessibility plans for the building's expansion. Emma's drawing hung on his wall, a crayon masterpiece showing 3 people holding hands. "My family," she'd labeled it. "Daddy, me, and Sarah." They weren't there yet, not really. Mark and Sarah were taking things slowly, rebuilding a friendship first, seeing where it might lead. But for the first time in years, Mark felt something he'd almost forgotten: hope. Sarah had been right. The job wasn't charity. He'd earned it, proving his worth during 3 rigorous interview rounds. But her belief in him had opened the door. Her kindness had reminded him that accepting help wasn't weakness, it was human. Sometimes love meant letting go. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, it meant finding your way back, not to who you were, but to who you were always meant to become. Together.